it's Heather, and I am super excited because we're going to be testing and trying the TIRTIR foundation, the viral, popular, super hyped red mask cushion foundation. I want to do a wear test with y'all. I want to do check-ins. I want to show you this outside if it stops raining, in front of a window if not. I want to show you the application, my favorite ways to apply this. I've been using this for the past 3 or 4 days, and I want to give you my full review and thoughts at the end of this video. This is Amazon's #1 selling foundation right now. You can find this on Amazon, depending on the day, depending on if there's a sale, between $17 and $25, which makes it around a CoverGirl foundation price point, which is a little wild. But I'm excited to try this cushion foundation. This is supposed to be 72-hour wear, full coverage, radiant glass skin finish. And I want to know, is it going to work on my 36-year-old oily skin type? I'm living in a humid place. I want to know, is it going to work for me? I know myself, I know my skin, I know what I like. This foundation has been viral for a little while now, but I was interested when I saw that they expanded to 30 shades. When I saw that they had that shade expansion, I decided to go ahead and purchase this. I bought this in the shade 27N, and I will say this is way too light for me. When I first apply, it is very light. It does dry down a bit deeper, but I figured at the end of this video, I would decide, do I want to repurchase this in a deeper shade? Because you can see I made it work. I make it work with concealer, bronzer, powder, all of that. When I first got this foundation, I opened it, I put it on my face. It was really one of those moments, because even though I knew it was full coverage, I still just didn't expect that from this cushion foundation, and I don't know why I didn't believe it. Now I believe it. Sometimes a radiant finish means it's gonna give my oily skin a luminous glow, a lit from within. I'm gonna look healthy and hydrated and just like a Disney princess came to life. And then sometimes a radiant foundation means my oils are gonna eat it like a snack, and my makeup's gonna be broken apart and patchy, and I'm just gonna look like I need to bathe, you know? So I'm gonna show you what this looks like on my face. We're gonna do all the check-ins. I am going to zoom you in, and we're gonna cut to me makeup free. I've got you nice and zoomed in so you can really see how this foundation goes on the skin. You can kind of see everything this close. I do already have my primer on. I'm wearing my Denona Yummy Skin Balm. This is the universal shade, and this will help me with oil control. Now I will link my skincare, everything that I have on my face, down below in the description box, and I am ready to go in with the TIRTIR. Since this is so full coverage, I just want to lightly press, and we'll be getting a lot of coverage already. I don't want too much, so I really use a light hand and hardly even press, just kind of lightly press so that I don't get too much, and then I can tap it in, because I don't want to have so much product on my face that I'm trying to take some away to give me less coverage, to give me more of a skin-like finish. I just think it's so much easier to barely pick up product and then press it in versus trying to take it away later, you know? I know I've seen a lot of people like really press and cover their whole face, and that's completely fine if that's the way you like to do it. But for me, that's not my favorite way. I also don't really like to swipe on my skin. I prefer to kind of press, because I can kind of work the foundation into my skin more that way. But, you know, nobody's method is wrong. If they're making the product work for them and they like it, I just like to start a little bit at a time. So I just want to do half of my face for you. You can definitely see that this shade is too light for me, especially compared to my body. But I did appreciate that TIRTIR had neutral, warm, and cool tones. I thought that was really nice, really helpful when picking out my shade. I do notice that this foundation dries down a little bit darker than this. Not a ton, but a little bit. And even though my shade is too light, once I go in with bronzer and I put on a little bit of like finishing powder, I can make things work. I can make it look not quite so light. I'm also gonna kind of take this up under my eye where I would put concealer. I'm gonna go in with concealer later just because, you know, I'm a more is more type of person. But I know one of the reasons this foundation is so popular is because of that coverage, that you can go in just like this and not worry about adding a concealer if that's something that is appealing to you. I just want to go ahead and show you kind of that it does lay nicely here, Here's the foundation on one half of my face right over here, applied with the TIRTIR sponge that comes in the compact. I'm gonna do this half of my face with a foundation brush. I love using a foundation brush. I've found that for this foundation, this is my preferred way to use it. I do not mind a full coverage foundation. It's fun to be like full on, full coverage glam sometimes, but personally, I love a medium coverage foundation. And I find that when I buff this foundation in with the brush, kind of press it in and then buff over, I get more of a finish that I prefer on myself. So I want to show you those side by side because it's not super different, but it is somewhat different. I don't press my brush in there to get all the foundation out. I just lightly kind of do that. I can do it again, so I just lightly do that. And then I'll come over to my face, get that hair off my face, and then I will kind of press. And the same that we did the other side, I would rather just go in a little at a time to make sure that I'm not using an excessive amount of product. Picked up just a little more foundation and I'm really just kind of pressing this into my skin first. I'm also going to take it under my eye where I would normally put concealer, just so you can see how it looks on this side when I use the brush rather than the puff. Here's how our foundation is looking. This right here is the side with the brush, and it's been about 5 minutes. I wanted to give the foundation an opportunity to set and kind of dry down. You can see it is a little bit darker. It's still not dark enough for me, but it is deeper than when it was like first applied and wet. I personally just prefer using a brush. It feels like it's worked into the skin a little bit more, just my preference. Although there's not a huge difference. So the puff that comes with the foundation is over here on this side, and it still looks nice, of course. Like there's not a huge difference. It's not like night and day, but I do think like around my nose and right in here in my forehead, it doesn't sit as well as the brush side. Really, I think that's about personal preference though. If you want this to be an on-the-go type of foundation, the puff is in the compact. It's super easy. It's really quick. If you're like me and you want to take an extra time to grab a brush and work it in that way, I think it works well too. So whatever you want to do, I think this foundation applies really beautifully. I'm going to quickly finish up the rest of my makeup. I'm going to use concealer. I am going to set my face with some finishing powder. Of course, I'm going to set my concealer areas, and then I will come back to show you like our first check-in after the foundation's on. Here's where we're going to start our wear test. Everything is set with powder, looking great to me. And next we're going to do our 3-hour check-in. Everything's looking perfect except for my lip color, but we're not here to judge that. The foundation is looking beautiful. I ran some errands. I took my son to an appointment and it's still looking good. All right, y'all, it has been about 8 hours that my foundation has been on. Here is how we're looking. I think it's holding up amazingly. I really like the way it's looking on my skin. I'm outside. It is super cloudy because it just stopped raining. If you can hear the birds in the background, they're super happy that the rain has stopped. So let me bring you in a little closer. I'm just filming this check-in on my iPhone, but I definitely feel like you can see the texture on my skin. You can see that it's not broken apart anywhere. It's looking so good. It's rubbed off just a little bit on my nose, but I won't really blame the foundation. My allergies have been acting up. No touch-ups, and look at that. Like, this is looking nice, especially for a foundation that is claiming to be radiant. I mean, I do see that my skin has radiance to it. It's not flat matte. Of course I set with powder because I have oily skin all over all the time and it is so humid out here, but the foundation's holding up so nice at the 8-hour mark, like so good. All right, y'all, it is the end of my day. We're at the 12-hour mark and I am ready to wash my face, get in the bath, and watch some Bridgerton. So here is my final check-in. Let's kind of talk about the claims of this foundation and we'll go through like what I think, my final thoughts. This foundation says that it is 72-hour wear, And I will never find that out because I'm not gonna go 72 hours in my makeup. If you want to do that, you do you. Love that for you. I'm at the 12-hour mark, and I definitely wear my foundation longer than this sometimes, 12, 16 hours, things like that, depending on the day, depending on what happens. But for the most part, I feel like a 12-hour wear test is a good amount of time for me to know if a foundation is going to last on me, if it's going to break apart. So not testing the 72-hour claim, but I will give it a yes for a long wear. I also do agree that this is a radiant finish foundation. It's not flat matte, but it's a good radiant foundation even for my oily skin. It looks glowy, what I feel is in a very healthy way. Using this alongside my favorite powders and my primers, I mean, I think it is radiant, but in a very beautiful way. Here at 12 hours, you can see I have a healthy glow. I don't think I look overly dewy, overly radiant. I don't feel like I need to wash my face. It's just time for me to get cozy. So definitely radiant, but in a good way. And I mean, obviously, it is a full coverage foundation. You could see that from the demo. A little bit goes a long way. I think the price point is great. If you're looking for a full coverage foundation, this one will give you full coverage. But when I press it into my skin with a brush, I do feel like it looks a little more skin-like, which I enjoy, and more coverage than I would typically go for, but I like it. I think it worked really, really good for me. So yes to full coverage. Now, I would love to try more of TIRTIR's foundations, but I just can't because of the shade range. I saw that they do have some that have different finishes, and I hope that they will give those foundations 30 shades as well, because like I said, I would love to try them. I just can't right now. So we will see what happens. Hopefully with the success of this foundation going viral and so many people really loving it, you know, hopefully that they'll expand to their other color lines as well. Let me just get in here really close, you know, to like an uncomfortable closeness. I know this foundation claims not to emphasize texture, and I agree. I mean, I do have some texture on my skin. I do have some fine lines. Again, I'm oily skin. I break out easily. If there's anything my skin doesn't like, I will break out. And I have texture. And the foundation is looking great. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough. This is the end of the day and it still looks this nice. I mean, I could blot, but realistically, I wouldn't. Like if we were going out right now, like if we were going to go to the store or whatever, I don't know what we would be doing this late at night. But if we were going out, I wouldn't blot my face. I would just go. So here you have it. Absolutely love testing and trying new makeup. Like I absolutely love it. So I'm happy that I found another win and at such a great price point. I've seen so many of y'all comment, especially when I talked about this foundation in my haul video from last week. Y'all were telling me that you really like this foundation. So I'm happy that I like it too. I am going to bed now, going to relax. I hope you're having an amazing day. If you want to keep talking about makeup, I have so many videos on makeup. I love talking about makeup. I can and do talk about it all day, every day. So stick around, check out some of these videos and let me know, is there any other foundation that you want me to test and try? Because I would absolutely love to do that. I'll see you soon.